Oh, looks like somebody's finally awake. Just in time, too. We're almost at our first stop. You might want to hold on to your barf bag. Huh. This kind of reminds me of a video game I played one time. You have no idea how terrified I was of this game as a kid. I remember saving up all my hard-earned Wii points to download Majora's Mask on the Virtual Console, hyped out of my mind to play the game I heard so many good things about. I knew it was supposed to be a darker take on the Ocarina of Time formula, but my goofy ass was not prepared for the existential dread and fear I was about to put myself through. And you gotta understand, Wind Waker and Ocarina were seriously my jam growing up. They both had these colorful, expansive worlds that made little me feel like he was a real silent protagonist, embarking on a wild quest throughout the land, doing all this fun stuff like delivering eye drops to a very large Goron boy, and busting this green man out of county jail, or even getting dry humped by zombies. Okay, maybe that part isn't so fun. They both got that swashbuckling, adventurous atmosphere down to a science, and it captivated me so much. So going from those two bangers, I expected the sequel to Ocarina of Time, which was my first Zelda game, to be just like those. But what I got was something way different. Something I don't think my young mind was ready to comprehend quite yet. Right off the bat, your horse gets hijacked and you fall down a big tree into another dimension. Then the Skull Kid over here turns you into a bitch-ass Deku scrub that can only spin around and shoot booger bubbles. After hinting that he might have sorta just killed your horse, I might add. Then not before long, you're dumped into the off-putting Clock Town, with this incredibly upsetting face looming over you at all times, reminding you that death is always around the corner if you don't complete the slightly convoluted set of fetch quests in time. Once I finished the intro and turned into a real boy again, I just stopped playing. It was probably a mixture of my current soiled undies and the ever-present time limit that made me question if accomplishing anything in this game was possible if I had to reset every 30 minutes. Also, it probably didn't help that the ghost story about the funny-looking Link statue legitimately gave me childhood trauma either. Thanks, peanut butter gamer, you Fred Figglehorn piece of shit. This all proved to be a bit too much for my nutter butter ass to handle, so I was perfectly fine getting another round of that Wind Waker. Now don't get me wrong, I still thought the game looked really cool. Its artwork had this dark, abstract aesthetic to it that just spoke to my soul, with a world that looked like it was ripped straight out of a painting at Mellow Mushroom. Not to mention Link was doing all those sick flips across gaps, which seriously activated the neurons of my little goo-goo gamer brain. I just decided to put it on the backlog until the day I grew a pair. And that day was about a month ago, ladies and gents. After securing myself a bootleg N64 copy from Shanghai for $20, I finally played it, and needless to say, I think your boy's got a bit of a crush. I know that was a long-ass introduction, but I really wanted to provide some well-needed context for my playthrough, and to show how damn hard this game can be to get into when you're a little kid. I'm kinda mad this little stink boy pussied out of it when he first played it, but in a way, I'm happy I experienced it as a considerably less stinky adult, fully aware of my own mortality and the harshness of reality. After Ocarina of Time came out, Nintendo wanted to squeeze as much juice as they could out of all those wacky assets they made. Miyamoto suggested ripping people off by releasing the same game with altered dungeons, but when Eiji Aonuma disagreed, suggesting they make an entirely new adventure while reusing old assets, Miyamoto proceeded to blow a puff of smoke in his face and tell him, 1 year. This rushed development time resulted in a measly 4 dungeons. This could be seen as a step down from Ocarina with its 9, but Majora doesn't need a ton of dungeons to be as good as it is. While there is an overarching goal of finishing all the dungeons and awakening the 4 skinny legends to save Termina from the moon, Majora's Mask is far more interested in crafting a fantastical creative world, laser focused on the characters who live in it and the struggles they face. While other Zelda games had supplementary side quests to distract from the main story, this game puts its side content on full display. Not only are the masks cool-ass rewards that are super fun to collect and use, you also personally just want to help out these guys and make them happy. They already got to deal with impending doom in a few days, I might as well help this guy grow his cuckoos. So many of the quests are unique and interesting, like when I saved a ranch from actual aliens, fought against robbers trying to steal my hard-earned milk, or provided some TP to my toilet homie. There's so many cool items to collect and people to meet, and even though I, a true and honest gamer, admit to using a guide for most of the side quests, I still had a blast lost trying to get everything. Some of the masks I found throughout even unlocked movement options that you just don't get that much in 3D Zelda. Zooming around with the bunny ears equipped, soaring through the water and doing cool ass dolphin tricks as Zora Link, and absolutely steamrolling through the dense compact overworld with the Goron mask made me bust just a little, I won't lie. And that crazy 3-day system, something that I thought would annoy the hell out of me, ended up adding layers of strategy to the game, where I would try to get as much done as possible during each cycle before having to reset. This kind of Groundhog Day time management made me feel like I was doing some 4D chess, big-brained in a way I haven't experienced in many other games before.
One order of soy milk.
Oh, thank you.
Radio Zelda is now transmitting.
Oh, he's playing. He's playing, I knew it.
Just a reminder, 72 hours remaining until the end of the world.
I keep ragging on about the characters and side quests, but to be honest, the dungeons were just as insane. The team focused on quality over quantity here, with dungeons that I personally found more thoroughly interesting than most of the ones found in Ocarina. Just as a good Zelda dungeon should, their secrets unravel at a very satisfying pace, slowly but surely opening up to you, like some freaky knot full of eye weak spots and torch puzzles. But how Majora stands out from the other girls at prom is through its cool-ass transformation masks. The Deku, Zora, and Goron transformations Link gets by harassing dead people make each dungeon feel so distinct. With all these really fun movement mechanics Link just doesn't have in any other game. And you cannot forget about the great fairy scavenger hunts. Every dungeon has 15 of these fairy guys to collect and discover, hidden away in chests, dropped by enemies, or even in the ceiling like this bullshit right here. Getting all of them nets Link permanent upgrades and even this cool broadsword I never used. They force you to really get down and dirty with these dungeons and see everything they have to offer, which is great because they all slap. Even the Great Bay Temple. All of them are bookended by some of my favorite boss battles in the series. While most 3D Zelda bosses have very concrete patterns where you gotta hit an obvious glowy eye weak spot and repeat until it's dead, the bosses here, except for this dumbass fish, are intense battles to the death, where your ability to damage the bosses lies in your gamer hands, not on some lame pattern you have to follow 3 times. Like take the first boss, where you can damage him with any item you got. Or this guy where you gotta chase him down and ram his ass with a Goron mask repeatedly. Or the worms where you get all big and bully the hell out of him.
The whole time the clock is ticking. The moon is getting closer, and you're not gonna stop any of that. You have so many things that you have to accomplish to stop this moon from falling. If you mess up, even the least little bit on a couple of these things,
what hit me the hardest about this game is that after you reset the 3 days, all the people you helped and areas you saved go back to the way they were. That cool monkey, probably dead. That Goron baby, crying like a bitch. The little girl is abducted by aliens in nearly every timeline. And Lulu's babies are doomed to go missing again over and over. The last side quest I did was reuniting Cafe with his fiancée Anju. Seeing the two reunite and content with spending their final moments with each other got to me so hard that I immediately turned around and summoned the giants last second so I didn't have to deal with the guilt of letting these 2 polygonal characters die right after their wedding. There was still a damn bottle that I needed to get, but I'm actually such a pushover that I just had to fight the final boss right there and then. The game's finale takes place in the moon, a luscious green field with these creepy kids running around asking you philosophical questions. Needless to say, I got that fierce deity mask and felt very good about myself because of it. This game is fire, guys. Great characters, a dense and creative world, cool abilities, a wholly unique and heavy atmosphere, and my favorite villain in the entire series. Love how instead of fighting an evil tyrant, we're fighting a possessed sad homeless kid this time. Really switching it up on us, very cool. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party and everyone and their pillow has already made a video on how good this game is, but I still wanted to express my scattered thoughts about the experience. And even though there might have been just a bit too much item management and Ocarina playing for my taste, it's an experience I don't think I'll forget for a long time.